Hello everyone. Let's dive straight into multi-turn conversations. The formal definition of a multi-turn conversation is a dialogue exchange where the agent maintains context over several back and forth interactions, allowing it to ask clarifying questions and gather all necessary information to complete a goal. In plain everyday English, it is the art of having a real chat. Imagine you are at a busy coffee shop. You don't just shout coffee and walk away. The barista asks, "What size? Any milk? Is that for here or to go?" That back and forth is a multi turn conversation. If the barista forgot your size the moment you mentioned milk, you'd be frustrated. An intelligent agent needs to be just as attentive. Stay with me here because multi turn logic is what makes an agent feel like a person instead of a broken search bar. You've probably seen this at the office, where you try to explain a problem to a bot and it just keeps repeating the same greeting. We are going to fix that by teaching our agent how to follow a thread. Let's break this down together. We are building a memory-driven dialogue. So, now that we've mastered the idea that a conversation is a journey with multiple stops, you might be wondering how the agent actually knows which specific slots of information it still needs to fill to reach the destination. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is slot filling and information gathering. This brings us to slot filling. The technical documentation defines slot filling as a process where the agent identifies missing pieces of required data within a topic and continues to prompt the user until every mandatory variable is populated. To speak naturally, it is the digital checklist. Think of your topic like a form with empty boxes. If you are ordering a pizza, the boxes are toppings, size, and address. The agent won't let you finish until every box has a check mark. Imagine a dummy example of a car rental agent. You say, "I need a car for tomorrow." The agent checks its list and sees pickup location is empty. It doesn't ask you what kind of car you want yet. It politely asks, "Which city will you be picking the car up in?" You've probably noticed at the office how annoying it is when you submit a request and it gets rejected because you forgot one detail. Slot filling ensures the agent gets everything right the first time. Let's break this down together. We are making our agent thorough. So now that we've mastered how to use a checklist to gather data, you might be wondering how the agent can be smart enough to skip questions when the user provides all the answers in the very first sentence. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is proactive extraction and skipping questions. Now we need to talk about proactive extraction. The formal definition describes the agent's ability to analyze a single user input and extract multiple entities simultaneously, mapping them to their respective variables and skipping the associated question nodes. In simple everyday English, it's listening for the whole story. This is where the agent shows off its IQ. Imagine a dummy example. Your agent is built to ask three separate questions. What is your name? What is your order number? And what is the problem? But the user types, "Hi, I'm Sachin. My order is number 505 and it's broken." An old school bot would still ask, "What is your name?" But our intelligent agent sees that the name and order slots are already full. It skips those two questions and goes straight to, "I'm sorry to hear your order is broken, Sachin. Let's look at number 505. Stay with me here because this is how you make a user fall in love with your technology, by not being annoying. You've probably seen this when you're talking to a great assistant who just gets it immediately. Let's break this down together. We are valuing the user's time. So now that we've mastered how to skip the obvious stuff, you might be wondering how we handle those times when a user gives us a maybe or a not sure and we need to clarify their intent. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is clarification prompts and disambiguation. This brings us to disambiguation and clarification. The technical documentation defines this as a conversational pattern where the agent presents a set of options to the user when an input is ambiguous or matches multiple potential entities or topics. In plain language, it is asking, "Did you mean this or that?" Sometimes users aren't clear. Imagine a dummy example of a tech support agent. The user says, "My Apple isn't working." Does that mean their iPhone, their Mac, or the fruit they just bought at the grocery store? The agent recognizes the ambiguity and says, "I see you have an iPhone and a MacBook Pro registered. Which one are you having trouble with? You've probably noticed at the office how much confusion happens when people assume they know what you mean. Clarification logic stops the guesswork. Stay with me here because this is the people pillar in action, being clear and helpful. Let's break this down together. We are making our agent certain. So, now that we have mastered how to clear up confusion, you might be wondering how we can let the user change their mind midway through a chat without the agent getting totally lost. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is interruptions and global overrides. Let's dive into handling interruptions. The formal definition describes the agent's capability to switch context or trigger a different topic when a user asks a question that is outside the current multi-turn flow, while ideally retaining the progress made in the original task. To put it very simply, it is changing the subject gracefully. Humans don't always follow a straight line. Imagine a dummy example. You are in the middle of booking a flight with the agent. It asks for your destination. Suddenly, you realize you don't know the baggage rules and ask, "How heavy can my suitcase be?" An intelligent agent doesn't say, "Please answer the destination first." It pauses the booking, answers the baggage question, and then says, "Now, back to your trip. Where were we flying to?" You've probably noticed at the office how frustrating it is when a process is so rigid you can't ask a simple question out of order. Interruptions make the conversation feel human-centric. Let's break this down together. We are making our agent flexible. So now that we have mastered how to let the user lead the dance, you might be wondering how we wrap everything up once all the slots are finally full and the conversation is done. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is topic confirmation and closing the loop. Finally, we reach topic confirmation and summary. This technical area focuses on using the gathered variables to present a final summary to the user, ensuring all slots were filled correctly before triggering the final business action. In a relaxed classroom tone, it simply means the double check. It is always better to be safe than sorry. Before you ship that pizza or book that flight, you show the user what the agent heard. Imagine a dummy example. The agent says, "Okay Sachin, just to be sure, I have a large pepperoni pizza for delivery to 101 Main Street at 8 p.m. Is that correct?" Once the user says yes, the agent hits the Power Automate button and the work is done. You've probably noticed at the office how much you appreciate it when someone repeats your order back to you. It gives you peace of mind. Let's break this down together. As builders, we are creating confidence for our users. We've looked at the art of the chat, the digital checklist, skipping the obvious, clearing up confusion, being flexible with subjects, and finally, the double check. We've mastered multi-turn conversations and slot filling. You now know how to build an agent that truly listens and understands. Well, that brings us right into our next chapter.